Hey guys, my name is Nick and welcome to my channel where I cover all things entertainment, TV, movies, streaming, whatever you're watching, I'm making videos on. Little Fires Everywhere is a limited series on Hulu based on the novel by Celeste Ng. The show was set in 1997 at Shaker Heights, Ohio and stars Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington as two very different mothers. Witherspoon plays Elena, a perfect PTA-type mom who lives in her McMansion with her 4 children and her successful lawyer husband, played by Joshua Jackson. Washington plays Mia, a more bohemian artist type who travels from town to town scraping by with her daughter Pearl. When Mia and Pearl come to Shaker, they rent a house owned by Elena and her family, and the two families become embroiled with one another. Real quick, I want to talk about the background of this show and just Reese Witherspoon because I just think she's a fantastic producer. She is so my inspiration right now. Like, I just want her job, what she does, because she just finds all these books and then like brings all of these great people together to make these shows. I don't even think a lot of people know that Reese Witherspoon is like the reason Gone Girl happened. She's the reason Big Little Lies happened. Like, this show is definitely trying to be the next Big Little Lies, but I'm going to explain why it doesn't really hit the mark. The show is really sold on the acting because it's led by both Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington, who are both great, but I'm here to criticize because it's what I do. Now, Reese Witherspoon, as I just said, I love her. She's one of my faves. She's great. I love her in everything. But I have to say, like, she's definitely the villain in this show, and you want to punch her in the face a whole lot. But I think that there was way too much time focused on making Elena likable and understandable. And I felt like they needed to go harder on Elena and not make her so likable, because Reese Witherspoon is just so damn likable. She's a total bitch in this show, and you still want her to just make you cookies at the end of the day. I really would have liked to see them go deeper into the material and still paint her as an understandable character, but also as one that you don't particularly like, because the way that it plays, it just kind of looks like Madeline moved from HBO to Hulu. As for Kerry Washington, I never got into Scandal, so I'm not used to being like entrenched in her work and seeing her weekly and everything, but I do think that she's a good actress and I like her screen presence. She is fantastic in this show. She does some really great work. She does this great thing where she's able to convey how she's feeling with her face, but then use her tone of voice to convey a completely different emotion. It's so good. She is so good in this show. But I do have to admit that as the episodes were going on, I felt like I was seeing the same performance played again and again and again. And honestly, I really knock the material more than anything. You work with what you're given, and again, I just think they needed to give more time to Mia. I think they tried to build up her past as like a mystery, and so they didn't want to spend too much time with her, but she really should have been the main character. The real star of this show, I think, should not be overlooked, and that's Lexi Underwood, who plays Mia's daughter Pearl, who I think just on paper in general is like the best character, like the only character that you can really root for in this show, but you really needed that sort of strong performance in order to make it actually work, and Underwood brings this shine to the character that just makes you really instantly connect with her, and you really want the best for her, which you really need in this show because everyone else sucks, and you're just watching like everyone around Pearl be awful, and you're just like hoping like, I hope Pearl makes it out okay. Story time. Now, this is definitely based on a book, and I'm glad that this was made into a mini-series and not a movie, because if they had made a movie about this, they would have cut out like all kinds of stuff in the middle, and then all of the interactions and things wouldn't make sense, and it would just be garbage. The development of this show really needed that time to breathe, and I think that was one of the most effective things that they did with this material. This show kicks off with a house burning down, Elena's house, where we spend most of the time in this show hanging out with our characters, and it's of course very dramatic, and no, not a spoiler, it's how the show starts. I really don't like when shows do this, when they start at the end, or even books, any sort of content. I just don't like it when they're like, oh, here's what happened, and now we're gonna figure out how it happened. Honestly, as the show was playing out, I became way more invested in the character interactions, and I really didn't give a damn about how this house burnt down. I really didn't care at all. What drew me in was how these families become entangled with one another, because Pearl becomes friends with all of Elena's kids. She maybe even becomes a little bit romantically involved, and so I was really more just like, will we ever learn what happened in Mia's past? Will Pearl end up with Trip or Moody? Will Elena ever be exposed as a shady bitch? It's like all of the teen dramas stuffed into one, but then made for adults, which was I liked it. It made for a very bingeable experience. Now I want to talk about the viewing experience of this show because Hulu released these episodes weekly, like this is cable TV or some bullshit, which I thought was a complete mistake. But I'd like to know if anyone actually watched this weekly and how that experience was for you, because I thought that all of the episodes were on Hulu when I started watching it. I spent an entire afternoon binging the first 7 episodes and I got really sucked in and I was into this world and these characters and I was having a good time with it. And then I got to the end and I realized it was still another week before the last episode was going to be on the service. And I was like, God damn it. But within that week between episodes, I completely lost interest in this show. All of the good stuff happens in that last episode. And I feel like it lost a lot of the weight that it should have had because I was just ready for it to be over. I mean, hell, this review is up like weeks late because I just kind of stopped caring about the damn show. I'm not opposed to weekly releases of episodes. I think that works for shows that have an actual episodic format. Like the Mandalorian actually did a good job with that. When you have like mini stories in your episodes that are completed, that fit together with an overall narrative, good stuff, that works. But when you have something like this, that's a big long story broken up into different parts, I want to watch it all like one big movie. That's what I want to do. I want to binge it. Stop trying to stop me from binging, Hulu. Can I also just throw out there while I'm complaining about Hulu, I just cannot stand the commercial breaks. Like, does anyone actually have Hulu with commercials? Like, I know it's half the price, and so a lot of people probably do, but I go to my streaming services to not watch commercials. I watch enough ads on YouTube, okay? I really just can't stand that the Hulu originals are made to have these commercial breaks. I just find it so annoying how these shows like will take the break to go to commercial, and it's like, couldn't you just like in the ad version do a solid edit to break it up? Because if you're watching without ads, it just feels like the episodes are broken up by these fade to black. Now let's get down to business, shall we? Because this show is pure racial politics and the dynamic between this wealthy white family and a seemingly poor black family. And I think that there's plenty to explore there, and it doesn't really feel like the main focus of the show. The main focus seems to be like, who's getting pregnant? Who did shady things in their past? I feel like they're ignoring the most interesting concept that this show has. And I'm gonna have a little bit of a light spoiler section to be able to go into my real thoughts in a little bit, but basically I'm just gonna throw it out there because, you know, clearly I am a professor of racism. It's not that hard to trigger a little white guilt out of me or to make me look at things differently. I think shows like this should have me going, oh my God, I never thought of it like that. Or, oh my God, that's so interesting. None of that happened here. This whole show, I was like, yeah, and like maybe some of these messages work for the suburban wine drinking moms, but sure, there's a place for that, and I'm sure maybe plenty of people actually need these light messages, but I felt like this show really needed to go further, and it really needed to explore some of the real problems that we have, and it just kind of amounts to, did you know that if you adopt an Asian baby, it's like really racist to serve fortune cookies at the baby shower? Like, really super duper racist. I'm gonna give season 2.5 of Big Little Lies a 3 out of 5. It was an enjoyable, binge-worthy experience with solid acting, but I don't think that it goes deep enough in order to achieve what it sets out to do. With that out of the way, I want to get into some spoiler talk, because I want to talk about my biggest problem with this show, and I'd be really interested to hear other opinions, because I've stayed away from other reviews and other like sources and articles. I wanted to do my own independent review, and you know, if everyone hates my opinion, well, that's what the internet is for, apparently. So in the beginning of this show, Kerry Washington's character Mia is presented as this poor, you know, working class woman just trying to get by with her daughter, just trying to work odd jobs and work as a server here and there just to be able to get enough money to get by. And as we go through the show, we learn that actually, she is a world-renowned artist. And what she does is she just makes a piece of art every now and then and just makes enough money to live off of and makes her daughter believe that they are poor because, well, she's hiding out because she was supposed to be a surrogate mother, but then she ends up stealing the baby, which honestly, that is a whole situation on its own. But when we learn about Mia and her character, I actually felt like we were meant to believe that she is this kind of person you can relate to, someone that you probably know. Maybe you were raised by a mother like this. And then we kind of find out that she's a really shitty person and she's done some really shitty things. And also, she isn't a victim of circumstance that has all of her opportunities ripped from her. She's actually brought on most of the problems in her life. But my problem is I don't think that they committed to the setup that they started with. We have this rich white woman looking down on a seemingly poor black woman, but then the message seems to be, oh no, Elena wasn't wrong because she was being racist. She was wrong because she thought she was a different kind of black woman, because actually Mia is an artist and she's rich, so that makes it okay. That makes her acceptable. Why couldn't she have just been an average single mother? Why couldn't she just be an average character? Like, that didn't make sense to me. I really think that they should have made a change there in order to make her just a real normal character, because it just didn't come off right to me. It just seemed to be one affluent character looking at another actually could be affluent character and being like, oh wait, you're one of us. I'm sorry, I had it wrong. And not, I had it wrong and I was a racist dumbass entirely. I don't know, that's my thought on the show. I'm wondering how anyone else feels about it. So hit the comments below to let me know what you think about Little Fires Everywhere. Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it as always. Like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you're watching. I'd be really interested. And I've got a whole bunch more Hulu stuff coming. It's just Hulu, Hulu, Hulu. So hope you're ready for it. That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.